This is the week America learned it was in a true public health crisis, and we're seeing some intense reactions to the news.
From uncertainty to panic, investors react to Wall Street's worst day since Black Monday more than 30 years ago.
I do not even feel like pressing the buttons. Oh, Jesus.
I went to a supermarket yesterday, and for some reason, they had a pallet of toilet paper in the back.
Took it.
I did, and I held it dearly, and I'm not really sure why.
Okay.
There's a suburb of New York, New Rochelle, that has a major outbreak, and they now have a 1-mile radius containment zone. You can see the workers in hazmat suits setting up a drive-through testing facility in what was a normal parking lot. And those images obviously ricochet. New Rochelle residents say they have a weariness hitting them and a deep sense of anxiety throughout the community. Or take a look at a half-mile line to get into one California Costco, a familiar scene around the nation. Now, taking these precautions, getting food and supplies, is a perfectly good thing. But as these challenges multiply, how do you balance urgency with the stress and maintaining vigilance instead of panic? We turn now to Tony Schwartz, co-author of The Art of the Deal and founder of the Energy Project, an organization that advises major companies. This week, he's actually presented to 15 chief medical officers in the U.S. about how to help people manage their stress and energy. Good to see you.
Good to see you, sir.
The difference between the feeling, the fear that can turn to panic, and the actions that you should be focused on.
Well, as soon as you feel panic, as soon as you start to catastrophize, your capacity gets diminished dramatically. We know that when people feel those kinds of emotions, their vision narrows, their ability to think clearly goes away, either their anger or their frustration or their impatience grows. So really the big issue is, how do you take care of yourself? How do you take care of the part of yourself that is most frightened?
And doesn't that also go to who's making the decision? If we do it right, we have to listen to experts. But in so doing, we have less control. I want to play for you just some other sound we have of people finding out they have to move or go or deal with this and the reactions. Take a look.
It was kind of panic because the airline had no idea what to do, what to say. They didn't even know to tell us to get on the plane, not get on the plane. So most of us made the decision to stay back.
So you guys are moving out. What are you taking with you?
Everything. Whole dorm.
When did you hear about this?
This is the first
yesterday.
You heard about? Was this a surprise?
Yeah.
There's a lot of fear around, and no one is really sure what to do.
Well, there's nothing more traumatizing for human beings than to feel out of control, than to feel helpless. That's why children are so vulnerable. But we have a child within us as well, and that's what's getting triggered. The adult part of ourselves, the most mature, the calmest part of ourselves, is the one we need to be in charge, and it needs to be providing comfort to that part of ourselves that feels so vulnerable. But instead, we end up reacting. We go into anger or we disappear. We go numb. We either overstate the problem or we understate the problem. There is a part of us, and you need to make a distinction between these three aspects of ourselves, these three parts of ourselves. The part that is overwhelmed, that's a very young part of us. The part that is the survival self that tries to take care poorly, tries to take care of that overwhelmed child. And then the adult, which gets lost in the mix when the survival self starts taking over.
40 seconds left, which is the perfect amount of time for the question. What happens to those...
I was told it was going to be an hour.
That's the whole show. What happens to those mechanisms when people don't trust authority?
They need to, I'm going to put it positively.
Okay.
They need to turn to themselves. You know, Trump ultimately is irrelevant in this. The guy knows nothing about what's going on, and he's never going to say anything true. We need to turn to our own resources. We can't be in victim mode, because when you're in victim mode, though it feels good to push away the responsibility, you lose all capacity to take action.
That's so important, and that's where the precautions also meet the politics. We have a cycle of blame, and many politicians deserve some of the blame, and yet the solutions here are not in that cycle. I'm going to fit in a break. You're staying on the show for something special. I'm also going to do, if you would, one of those. Okay?
Elbow
That's
bump.
how we do it.
Elbow.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.